arrived on Earth and basically caused the great cataclysm, right? The sinking of Atlantis, the almost complete obliteration of the Deviants, the Eternals fleeing from Earth, that the Dweller in Darkness existed at that time. And while he was not necessarily confined or required to stay within the various fear dimensions that exist in the Splinter Realms, that what the Dweller in Darkness did is that in order to bolster its power, it fed on the fear that was generated by the wars between the Eternals, the Deviants, and the humans. Now, something to understand here is that at that point in time, the Deviants had largely enslaved humanity, and the Eternals would fight the Deviants off and on, right? But they all kind of had this sort of circular fear of each other. The Deviants were scared of the Eternals because of the power the Eternals had. The Eternals were scared of the Deviants because the Deviants could kill them. Humanity was scared of both because they didn't fully understand, and all three were scared of the Celestials. So it was quite literally just a giant melting pot of fear. This bolstered the power of the Dweller in Darkness quite significantly. Now, ultimately, again, in this Doctor Strange comic, it led to the arrival of a character by the name of Zered-Nah. And this was basically a sorceress that existed in the kingdom of Atlantis, specifically the capital of Lemuria, before it was sunk by the Celestials. And Zered-Nah had actually learned of the Dweller in Darkness's existence and the intention of the Dweller to continue feeding on that fear and basically conquer the world. And so what ended up happening is Zered-Nah actually reached out to Agamotto and basically drew on some of the power of the first Sorcerer Supreme and then faced off against the Dweller in Darkness. Now, because the Dweller is the embodiment of fear, technically he can't really be killed. The only way for the Dweller in Darkness to cease to exist is if nothing in the universe felt fear. But so long as something out there feels fear, the Dweller in Darkness will exist. And so the result of this is that because the Dweller couldn't truly be destroyed, instead it was locked inside the Splinter Realms in its own fear dimension and just basically confined there. And so much like what we've seen when it comes to a lot of these powerful beings, Mephisto, Chthon, people like that, he's always trying to find a way to escape his dimension and then arrive on Earth and potentially expand his sphere of influence out into the rest of existence and seemingly conquer everything. Now, during this time, and especially during the Great Cataclysm, right, when the Celestials showed up on Earth and basically unleashed holy hell across the world, that because so many groups, right, the Eternals, the Deviants, humanity, because they felt so powerless in the face of the Dweller in Darkness, they began to give in to despair. And what this did is it actually allowed the Dweller in Darkness to create a son, if you want to call him, who's actually called Despair. And that guy would actually become incredibly important later on. But again, you kind of fast forward over the years, the Dweller in Darkness doesn't really show up a whole lot. He just kind of shows up, you know, periodically. For example, in Thor issue number 229 and 230, that the Dweller in Darkness kind of operating behind the scenes had actually began to sort of manipulate a few people and actually promised them that if they died, they would continue to live on forever. And this allowed these individuals to essentially become thralls of
with a hatchet. How long before you could send me an email? We are not smart. We buy shit from smart people. I don't have a camera on my phone because I'm smart. If you left me on an island for a fucking million years, I could never figure out how to put a camera in a phone. I don't even know what a camera is. I know I press a button and a picture shows up. What happens between me pressing that button and the picture showing up is anybody's fucking guess. There might be leprechauns and spray paint and fucking gremlins up the ass. All I know is megapixel. You gotta say that to get the good shit. I don't even know what a megapixel is. It's like a noise you make with your mouth. Megapixel. Oh, you're clever. You are clever. Who knows people who know that shit? Does anybody know anybody who's invented anything? Who are they? Is anybody watching them? Making sure they're alive? Making sure that somebody makes kids with them? No one's paying attention. I think what's gonna happen one day is the smart people are just gonna die and they're gonna leave us with a bunch of shit we don't understand. I think it's gonna be no warning. We're just gonna be sitting around having a good time, having a couple of drinks. Power's just gonna shut off and everybody's gonna get out the lighter. Way to go, you fucking idiots. Can't even keep the power on. What the fuck? And what do you do when the power goes out? I don't know what you do, but what I do is usually I sit around and I wait. Because I figured this is the guy who fixes that shit. Probably working on it right now. How long would it take before you figured out that all the smart people are dead? It would take years. All right, you would have to run out of batteries. Like, dude, I don't know how to make a fucking battery. What do we do? Shit! Listen, just get together with a torch, okay? Get a torch. We're all gonna meet in the street. We're gonna work this out. It's gonna be cool. Stand out in the street with your torch. What's up, fag? Dude, you know how to get the power on? I thought you did. No. All right, keep me posted. You too. Shit. We'd just be sitting in our house with torches. That would work. Until animals realize we don't have electricity anymore and they start sneaking around cities, checking shit out. And then you realize there's no loud noises to scare them off anymore. And bears just start grabbing people. We would just get down to devolve to a core group of survivors and let them re-evolve and rediscover the Earth. How crazy would that be? How crazy would a caveman discovering downtown Phoenix be? Just coming out of the cave with his fucking club and his buddies. Like, dude, who fucking built all this shit? Bro, it had to be aliens. Fuck yeah! Fuck yeah, it's aliens. I can't do that. You do that? Neither can I. What the fuck? See, I think this has happened before. I think it explains the pyramids.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was really high when I thought this up. But it makes sense. If you ever watch a documentary on the pyramids, they have no idea how they made those things. They take, well, we believe they used levers, but this is all that you need to know. They know they're there, so they know somebody made it. But all you need to know about the Great Pyramid of Giza, there's 2,300,000 stones that weigh between 2 and 80 tons. Some of them were cut from a quarry that was 500 miles away. No machines, no trucks, no steel. They had copper tools, and they were perfectly cut. And you couldn't get a razor blade in between these rocks, and they're perfectly aligned to true north, south, east, and west. And if you cut and placed 10 of these monstrous stones a day, it would take you 664 fucking years to make one pyramid. All brought to you by people who thought the god Ra took the sun across the sky in a canoe and returned later that evening with the moon. They had 16-year-old queens. Cleopatra was 16 when she was running shit. That's like Lindsay Lohan being queen of the world. And they built that. They built that? Are you sure? Are you sure? Okay, because I have another theory. I think people used to be really, really, really fucking smart. But the dumb ones just out-fuck the smart ones. That's what I think. I think we are all the bastard children of the idiot stoneworkers of Egypt. I think at one point there was a master race, and they were reading each other's minds, and they were free of ego, and they were totally honest, and they were mapping out the cosmos, and behind them, the stoneworkers just fucked away. Oh, look, you look just like me. That's my fella right there. They just took over. One day, the smart people just died. There's probably no warning. Just one day, the idiot showed up at the pyramids. Hello? Anybody in there? We're supposed to get our checks on Friday. A lot of boys got overtime coming. The holiday is right around the corner. Have you no heart? Then eventually they realized the smart people were all dead. What do you want to do?
I think for now we should just move into the pyramids, then we'll figure it all out.
And that's what they did. They just moved in. Then they just started lying about it. After like a couple of generations, who built this? We did? We're the best. We're number one. Egypt. Egypt. Look at that beautiful flat wall. That's craftsmanship, son. I think I will draw stick figures on it. This is a woman. She's carrying fruit upon her head. That's important to document. And this is a man, but he has the head of a dog. And he's evil. Are you sure they made that? They wrote in stick figures, dude.
Okay.
Yeah, man. That's funny, man. That's a good bit, man. Life technology, man. Man, like he's seriously right about that, man. Like we would not know how to fix this stuff.
I shall not repeat that mistake.
In the 8 months since an army of diehard MAGA supporters stormed the U.S. Capitol in an attempt to overturn the presidential election, more than 550 people have been charged with federal crimes. Those charges range from trespassing and destruction of government property to conspiracy, assaulting law enforcement, and use of a deadly weapon. In the upside-down world we are living in now, some on the right are still trying to tell us that those pictures, these pictures you see right here on your screen, do not actually depict an insurrection, and that those arrested are actually political prisoners. And worst of all, they're coming back in 2 weeks.
We have our next rally planned. It's in the middle of September, September 18th, and it's going to be huge. And what's going to define it is where it's going to take place. We're going back to the Capitol, right where it started, on September 18th. And we're going to push back against the phony narrative that there was an insurrection.
Yeah, great. As we told you last week, the D.C. police are going to increase their presence for this supposed peaceful demonstration. It's a good thing, too, because as the Associated Press reports, far-right extremist groups like the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers are planning to attend. For more, I'm joined by Scott MacFarlane, investigative reporter for NBC4 Washington, and Clint Watts, former FBI special agent and MSNBC national security analyst. And Scott, I want to start with you on just the where we are with these cases. Before we get into what's going to happen on September 18th, there are more and more high-profile members of this original siege on the Capitol that are coming to trial. Give us the latest update on that.
A series of plea agreements scheduled for next week, and one high-profile plea agreement today. Jacob Chansley, the so-called QAnon shaman, an eccentric case from the start, in part because he was wearing a headdress, horns, and red, white, and blue face paint. He pleaded guilty to one felony count, obstruction. He'll be sentenced in November. The estimate right now, Joy, roughly 4 years in prison. That's the sentencing guideline the judge will have to work with. But here's the thing, and this ties into September 18th. We spoke with his defense lawyer a couple hours ago. His defense lawyer says one of the obstacles to getting Chansley to plead guilty is that others close to Chansley were telling him, don't plead guilty, wait for the pardon from Donald Trump. Here we are, 8 months later, that's still the mentality. I'm talking to a number of members of Congress over the last few days. They haven't yet been briefed on what the security protocols and upgrades are going to be for September 18th. But in light of that comment, and in light of all this chatter about justice for the Jan 6 defendants who are in the D.C. jail, there's a lot of people concerned about it.
Wow. Okay. Well, Clint Watts, having absorbed that, how concerned are you that since there are still people in Jacob Chansley's family, while he's facing maybe up to 4 years in prison, who are still saying Trump is going to be magically reinstated and pardon him, and that doesn't seem to have weakened at all in terms of the broader sort of movement that supports the January 6th conspiracies. How worried are you about this September 18th event?
It's hard to tell right now, Joy. I think next week is when we'll know how serious it is. But I can tell you this, since January 6th, there hasn't been a rally that's generated this much noise in the social media space for a lot of these groups until September 18th. That's the first one that's really gotten a lot of attention. The other thing is you're starting to see things like them making T-shirts, starting to do some of the paraphernalia around this given date. And you're having media personalities and politicians both talking about that date and a potential rally. So that's tipping and queuing, just like we saw around January 6th. Remember, it's going to be wild. That was a signal to be there. What I don't know, though, is how serious people will be. In some of these channels that you might watch on social media now, you have many antagonists who are saying, don't be so stupid to go to D.C. You know they're ready this time. Sort of speaking to the truth that, hey, we have a much stronger law enforcement presence now. There are lots of FBI investigations going on with co-conspirators. So I think the ones that do show up, those are the most hardened supporters. And they're also the ones that will believe absolutely anything. They will go into a complete alternative reality and pursue it no matter what the truth ultimately is.
And just for a moment on that, Laura Windsor does a lot of these sort of videos where she goes out and sort of pretends to be Lauren Windsor, who pretends to kind of be one of these MAGA people and talks to these members of Congress and sees what they're going to say. This is her talking to Jim Jordan about that rally. And it's interesting what he says when he thinks he's talking to a MAGA supporter about that rally. Take a listen.
Are you going to be there on September 18th?
September 18th. Is there a rally coming?
There's going to be another rally.
Oh, really?
So there's a big rally in D.C. for all the people that they're holding right now.
Well,
and not people that are tech officers, but like, yeah.
I get in on the 19th or 20th.
So, I'm going to stay with you on this one, Clint, because it does seem that behind closed doors, when they don't think Donald Trump is listening, members of Congress are starting to understand that this might not be the smartest place for them to be, particularly when they've got potential subpoenas in front of them regarding what they did with the last insurrection.
And that's right, Joy. The consequences for them criminally could be quite high, particularly as people have their eyes on them for incitement, for example. The other thing is, this is ultimately about fundraising and motivating around the next election. That's the only way to look at it. When you hear those comments, it was Johnson last week, I think. In this case, it's Jim Jordan. We know that it's a scam, and there's two fundraising mechanisms that are still powerful right now: the insurrection, not surrection, and voting recounts, like this fake audit down in Arizona. Those are the two mechanisms where they can keep people going. And for Steve Bannon and his media outlet, if he was not talking about the insurrection, what would he be talking about right now?
Right.
They're not exactly enhancing anything. So conspiracies are about all they have. It's COVID conspiracies, and what do you know? The more people talk about it, the more people die from it or get ill from it. You're actually killing off your audience over time. So they're running into a conundrum, I think, about what to actually talk about because they don't have any new ideas.
Yeah, but they still want to collect the money. And so, Scott, but the thing is that the people that they're selling this to, a lot of them believe it. A couple of cases here, well, one case in particular, this is one of the suspects. His name is Doug Jensen. And he was told he needed to stay off the internet. And this was all he needed to do. He's now back in jail. He was initially released prior to his trial on a precondition that he would stay off the internet. But he got caught in his garage watching the MyPillow CEO, Mike Lindell's cyber symposium on an iPhone. I wonder how much of this is going on in these court cases where we're seeing some people like Jacob Chansley try to walk away from QAnon and sort of backpedal. But, how many of these guys are still doubling down and, still spouting this stuff even as they're facing jail time?
It's a great question, Joy. Not only was Doug Jensen caught watching the Mike Lindell cyber symposium on an internet-connected phone when he was banned from the internet, he was caught the first time the court came to check on him. The first unannounced visit. He has disavowed QAnon, he says. Jacob Chansley has disavowed QAnon, he says. But I'm going to go back to Chansley again. His attorney specified that Chansley still has a soft place in his heart for Donald Trump. In his words, it's, quote, like your first love, you don't get over it. There's a mentality out there. And these are the defendants who were or are in pretrial detention. And that's what the group is coming for September 18th, Joy. They're coming to protest and ask the feds or the court or the jail to release the January 6th defendants. Now, this is not the first time we've had people in town for that reason. I met with a group that was here one Sunday earlier this summer outside the jail with their picket signs. They said they're trying to release the prisoners of Biden.
Yeah, and let's remind everyone that a member of Congress, Madison Cawthorn, mused about busting those people out of jail. So this is some dangerous stuff, and he's not going to be the brightest bulbs in the fixture, but they're being incited continually online and by some members of Congress. Scott McFarland, Clint Watts, thank you both very much. Have a great weekend. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to a special 2-hour edition of The ReidOut, which begins with the Republican long game in its quest for ultimate power. Since the January 6th attempted coup in the Capitol, we've seen elected leaders purged or stripped of power for not falling in step with the big lie, while a sham audit in Arizona made a complete mockery out of a fair election. The big lie now infiltrates every corner of the internet, helping to boost legislation, making it harder for people, but really brown and black people, to vote, while empowering partisan poll watchers to just thug it out. I mean, keep an eye on things. Critical race theory is a culture war flashpoint, justifying censoring our school books and our teachers to the point that even the mention of race can be called into question. This is all the result of decades of work, and maybe even longer, given that the United Daughters of the Confederacy bullied school boards to teach white supremacist propaganda as U.S. history. The latest strategy, according to this ProPublica piece, is to seize control of the GOP from the bottom up, galvanized by none other than former Trump advisor Steve Bannon. You know that saying, good artists copy, but great artists steal? The same goes for white nationalist political operatives, because yes, Bannon is activating his army of Trump-worshiping conspiracy theorists to flood the lowest rung of the party infrastructure, which are the precincts. But let's be clear, the precinct strategy isn't Bannon's brainchild. This is simply, as ProPublica notes, something he plucked out of obscurity. But wait a minute, this strategy, maybe not so obscure. Republicans have been flooding the election boards, school boards, and local, city, county ranks for a long time. And let's not forget their penchant for purging the courts. It's just out in the open now. Start to recruit them from the school board on up.
Procedures, okay? That's why we're talking about Pfizer and Moderna and AstraZeneca and not like tens of other fucking pharmaceutical corporations that also were a part of the fucking program that failed in creating a successful fucking vaccine. It's for humans too. Fucking himbo. Read what chat is saying. Human ivermectin is for humans. The ones these apes are using isn't. Yeah, just because ivermectin is, you know, there's a specific type of ivermectin that is created for humans and not for horse consumption, doesn't mean the one that you get from the feed store is actually going to save you. As a matter of fact, it's probably going to cause blindness or fucking liver damage or shed out the remaining fucking parts of your intestinal lining that you haven't shat out yet. The chemical itself is the same. The problem is people are taking horse dosages. No, the problem also is that people are taking ivermectin in general. Stop taking untested medication that doctors and professionals are telling you not to take, thinking that you're going to get like immunity or thinking that you're going to have an expedient recovery as a consequence of this fucking drug that has not been proven to work on COVID patients. You're taking an anti-parasitic drug for a fucking virus. And the other part of the problem is like, it's not like ivermectin studies are like being pushed aside. I encourage that there are more studies on the benefits of ivermectin. But as it stands, all of the data that we have leads to a false sense of security amongst fucking baboons who think that they don't need to take the vaccine because their favorite podcaster told them horse dewormer works better. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Frontiers removes the... there it is. It removes the controversial ivermectin paper pre-publication. This is one that like everyone fucking points to still. And then the worst part is the people who have like delusionally and blindly followed through on like ivermectin is actually good literally turn around and say, oh, they removed it because fake news, like because, you know, they're scared because ivermectin is easy and cheap rather than the vaccines, which are fucking free. It's free. It's already paid for, let alone the reality that Merck, which is the fucking main producer of ivermectin, the pharmaceutical corporation that stands to benefit the most from the mass usage of their fucking drug, have personally came out and said, don't use ivermectin for COVID. It is untested and unproven. At this point, you will not listen to any matter of reason. It is so fucking stupid. So just die then. I don't know. If you don't want to take the fucking vaccine and instead you're going to take something that like the FDA and the fucking pharmaceutical corporation itself has told you not to fucking take, then just die, I guess. I don't know what to do. And I'm going to make fun of you when that happens, though. I'm just letting you know. If you fucking get COVID, you didn't take the necessary precautions, and you refuse to listen to fucking professionals, and you listen to your favorite podcaster instead, or rather, you listen to your fucking dumbass like Facebook aunt, and you fucking died or had long-term health complications as a consequence of getting COVID, I'm not going to feel too bad for you, dude, because you had every opportunity to not do this, okay? Holy shit, you're like turning me into a fucking Republican. Are you going to backtrack on this again and say that they're victims of misinformation? I mean, they are still victims of misinformation, but they make it surely incredibly difficult for me to fucking feel sympathy for them, especially if they're in this chat right now. They're still victims of misinformation, and the only reason why I still fucking scream about this shit instead of being like, all right, fuck yourself then, is because I do care, ultimately. I don't want Chatter's parents to fucking die. But he's right, please. You can't really be the only one who doesn't see capitalism and all this. Oh my God, dude, I do. Guess what? It is in the fucking benefit of capital owners for you fucking hogs to get back to work, you dumb wage slaves, and go back to consumption, more importantly. That's precisely why they want everyone to be vaccinated, so we can go back to business as usual. Do you not understand this? That's why they would not fucking flub something as huge as a fucking vaccine that they're promoting mass inoculation campaigns on, because a bunch of dead people is not good for them. A bunch of dead slaves is not good for anyone. It's not good for business. You dying, or rather shutting down ICUs, is bad for business.
Next up, we have ivermectin, which is an anti-parasitic medication used in both humans and animals. Lately, there's been speculation about ivermectin being used to prevent severe cases of COVID-19. However, this hasn't quite played out in the quality research. There are some trials still ongoing, but this medication is far from proving a benefit. And this is really important to note because there are individuals across the US who believe in this medication so much that they're actually taking their animals' medication to treat themselves. Folks, do not do this. It is incredibly dangerous. The dosages are not the same. The types of medications are not the same. Do not use ivermectin unless it's for an approved FDA use.
I can't take this guy seriously until I see how well he dances to fucking TikTok beats. I'm sorry. His 4 Webbies and his Dr. Mike neon sign is not doing it for me. Ivermectin at the right doses have been proven to destroy the virus. A published study shows that enough horse dewormer will kill the host at lethal doses. Once the host dies, within a few hours, the virus is gone as well. Thus, it is 100% effective against the COVID-19 virus. Yeah, can't have COVID if you're fucking dead. Anyway, remember the time when Bill Burr fucking owned Joe Rogan for not wearing a mask?
Fucking assholes on my street, walking around no masks.
Want people to walk down the street with a mask on?
Let's not start this, Joe.
Do you, though?
Let's not start this. Okay.
Let's start it.
I don't want to start this bullshit. I'm not going to sit here with no medical degree, listening to you with no medical degree, with an American flag behind you, smoking a cigar, acting like we know what's up better than the CDC.
It's true.
All I do is I listen. I watch.
That's literally my take. I agree with this take 100%. It's like, dude, we're dickheads. Why do you think like your aunt on Facebook knows more than the fucking doctors, you idiot?
A wonderful, heartfelt thank you to modern medicine for pulling me out of this so quickly and easily. And my love to all of you.
My dude, you look great. Like more than usual, dude. You don't look good. If you think you look good, I'm going to be honest with you. You don't. Okay? You look bad. I'm so disappointed in Joe Rogan. Why? Like, what were you expecting? I love that Joe Rogan was like, I ended his video with a thank God for modern medicine. But also, you know, fuck the vaccine. Joe's having some crazy side effects.
Got tested. And turns out I got COVID. So immediately threw the kitchen sink at it. All kinds of meds, monoclonal antibodies, ivermectin, Z-Pak, prednisone, everything.
You taking that vaccine?
No. No, I mean, I would if I felt like I needed it. But I just feel like if you maintain your health, and I think for some people it's important. I think for some people it's good.
Are they gonna make people take it in order to go overseas?
I'm worried about that. I don't like that.
I don't like needles. I
want to know how people fare over X amount of months. Like what happens in 6 months after the vaccine? How long does it last for? Do you need it again next year?
Dude, Joe Rogan is the funniest person to deny the vaccine because, like, you know, he does steroids and literally sells, like, non-approved supplements. Like, it's so silly, dude. You are such a silly bitch. Dude, okay, here, I'm clicking on your fucking link, dude. Here, okay. Okay, it's actually funny. Not New York City arresting 12 people for selling vaccine cards for $250 and giving them federal charges. Yeah, that's good. They should literally go to jail for that. It's anti-vax mama, right? We talked about the guy who got them arrested, dude. The guy who like did the research. This was pretty funny. We talked. Not New York City arresting 12. People for selling vaccine cards for $250 and giving them federal charges. Yeah, that's good. They should literally go to jail for that. It's anti-vax mama, right? We talked about the guy who got them arrested, dude. The guy who like did the research. This was pretty funny. A fake Moderna vaccine card leads to a woman's arrest in Hawaii. Dude, that's so indecent that like you went to a fucking island, dude, that has like a limit to how many fucking hospitals they can physically have in that space with a false vax card, potentially putting people in like serious trouble, dude. You're a fucking piece of shit. Like, throw them in the volcano, dude. I swear to God. Moderna. I got that Moderna.
Republican Andy Biggs in the U.S. House of Representatives, the chair, by the way, of the House Freedom Caucus, which is, you know, some of the more extreme members of the Republican Party. But anyway, Biggs sent a letter this week to Kevin McCarthy. Copy of the letter sent to us.
What's funny is that I go bottom. I feel like going flat.
CNN, where Biggs actually claimed that Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger were somehow spies for the Democratic Party, and therefore McCarthy needed to kick them out of the Republican conference in the House. Here's an excerpt from this letter. Congresswoman Cheney and Congressman Kinzinger are two spies for the Democrats that we currently invite to the meetings despite our inability to trust them. He goes on, we cannot trust these members to sit in our Republican conference meeting while we plan our defense against the Democrats. Okay, hold up now. I'm going to get back to that little statement in just a moment, but let's talk about the first fact. They're spies! Because they're serving on the January 6th Select Committee. And yes, Liz Cheney this week did get promoted, I think, to like vice chair or something, so she's got a lot of power on that committee now. But Republicans, you had your chance to put people on the committee. McCarthy was the one who decided to screw around, try to get Jim Jordan on there, and then he got pissed when Pelosi said no, and he pulled all his members off. So you can't act like having these two Republicans on the committee is a big deal. What you're really mad about is that these are two Republicans that don't blindly follow Donald Trump. Even though they vote with Republicans more than 90% of the time, they are hardcore, deep-down Republicans at heart. You still don't want them there because this one issue, love of Donald Trump, you guys don't share. There's no room for anyone in the Republican Party if you do not have...
Ow! You're just going about your day when suddenly you're hit with a wave of pain. What's your body trying to tell you, and why does it have to hurt you to do it? Here are 20 things you never knew about pain. Number 20. Pain is your body's warning system. Remember as a kid when you decided to touch the stove? Your hand only glanced it for half a second before you pulled it away in pain and wound up with a blister. And a stinging lecture from mom about safety. This was a case where pain was very useful. As soon as you touched something that could hurt you, your pain receptors kicked in and sent the very strong message that you should stop before you caused more serious damage. This nerve signal indicates to the body that it should withdraw from a dangerous stimulus immediately and avoid it in the future, saving you a lot of future pain. But not every pain serves a useful purpose. Number 19. What the hurt? There's another kind of pain that just seems to linger even when there's nothing on the surface causing it. This is called chronic pain, and it lasts more than 3 to 6 months. It can be caused by problems in the body's various systems, but it's most often caused by the nervous system. Something gets damaged, and the brain or spinal cord sends signals to a part of the body that indicates something's wrong here. Solving or relieving chronic pain can be tricky, and sufferers often spend a lot of time visiting doctors to try to find the right combo of therapy or medication to make their pain finally go away. But there's another cause for chronic pain, and it comes for all of us. Number 18. What's eating grandma? Have you ever heard your grandparents complaining about their back or their knees or, well, everything? Probably, and there's a reason for that.
With a fake...
It's not a Japan thing.
Oh, we
it's
be
an anime thing.
特に意味はないんですけど、学生さん？おお、当たった。すごい。
Bingo or bungo?
じゃあ、国木田君は
Damn.
転職ならどうでもいい。
A gigolo.
彼はもともと教師だよ。
Bro, I can see that.
Yeah.
But he would be a terrible teacher. We'll be teaching toddlers.
If you have 2 apples and take 1 away.
Right. Let's see what he was. A criminal. He was a criminal.
Have this blind, undying loyalty to Donald Trump. It's sickening, but it's a cult. It's not a political party. It is a cult. So we're stuck with what we got. But let's get to the second part of that statement I read. We cannot trust these members to sit in our Republican conference meetings while we plan our defense against the Democrats. Well, I guess it's nice to know what Republicans are actually working on, right? I mean, hell, they've only been promising us an alternative healthcare plan for 11 years now that's never materialized, but they're not working on that. They're not working on infrastructure. They're not working on environmental issues, sure as hell. They're not working on the student loan debt crisis. Hell, they're not even working on national security, which is what Republicans are all about these days. No, they're only working on defending themselves against the Democrats, which really just means attacking Democrats and not letting any of their initiatives go through. That's what Congress is working on. And to me, that's a bigger part of this letter than Biggs's bizarre comment that they're spies for the Democrats. The Republicans are doing nothing, folks. They're doing absolutely nothing for the United States of America. That should have been the headline on this story, because he admits it in the damn letter. Just like Mitch McConnell admitted it months ago in front of a camera, like, my only job is to make sure that Biden fails. They have no interest in leading. They have no interest in putting forth actual legislation that's going to do anything for this country, good or bad at this point. You know, we can't even get them to put forward bad legislation. They can't put forward any legislation because they're that incompetent and they're that tribal. Their only goal is to make sure the Democrats fail. And then, of course, once they get power back, which could happen next year in the midterms, they're probably going to work on a tax cut package for the wealthy elite because that's all they know how to do. It's literally the only thing the Republican Party does at the national level anymore. At the state level, there's, of course, tax cuts and, voter suppression. Your occasional oppression of people that are not white males, too, but that's all they can do. And Biggs is admitting that in his letter. McCarthy, if you're going to kick anybody out of the party, how about you kick the morons out? Because I'm sure you're probably not happy that he has this letter that's now been made public that shows that Republicans aren't doing anything for the American public. To me, I don't know, that seems like a bigger sin than not blindly loving Donald Trump.
Yeah, we went late game because of Leona and Fizz and Ken and all.
Minions have spawned.
All right, good evening, everyone. We begin the readout tonight with the jihad that House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy and the GOP are waging against the Select Committee investigating January 6th. Little Kevin now claims that Congress doesn't even have the right to investigate the violent attempt to overthrow the government. And most laughably, he's comparing the insurrection to a bank robbery.
Should members of Congress do investigations when someone robs a bank, or should law enforcement do it? But now what the Democrats are doing are trying to use an unconstitutional, unlawful ability to go after Americans who they think disagree with them philosophically.
But beneath his bluster and lies, Kevin is clearly running scared, petrified that he might be more deeply implicated in the events of that day. Multiple outlets are now reporting that McCarthy's phone records are also subject to the preservation request that the committee issued on Monday to more than 30 social media and telecom companies. That means there's a decent chance that his data will be the target of a potential subpoena. And that explains McCarthy's panic when he's issued an unprecedented threat to those companies on Tuesday, effectively vowing to destroy them if they comply with investigators. McCarthy's not just demanding that those companies stonewall Congress, he's running a protection racket, not unlike the mafia. With the threat of retribution, he's extorting private sector companies for a guarantee of safety, which begs the question, what exactly is he trying to hide? Now, let's remember, Lil Kevin is among at least a dozen Republicans to have their communications targeted by the Select Committee, an all-star list of MAGA bootlickers who plotted to steal the election for Trump. Many of those same Republicans are now threatening to sue the telecom companies if they comply with the committee, according to Forbes. Given their outcry, it appears that the investigation is on the right track. As GOP strategist Rick Wilson said this week, their guilt is rolling off of them in waves. They're drowning in an ocean of flop sweat. But those Republicans are not just running scared from the committee, they're also afraid of their own. Congressman Andy Biggs, who's also a target of the investigation, is now lobbying to expel the two Republican members of the Select Committee from the GOP caucus. He's penned a letter to Kevin saying that Congresswoman Liz Cheney and Congressman Adam Kinzinger are two spies for the Democrats. We cannot trust these members to sit in our Republican conference meetings while we plan our defense. Of course, Biggs wouldn't be so paranoid if he had nothing to hide. With me now, Dino Badala, host of the Dino Badala Show on SiriusXM and an MSNBC columnist. Juanita Tolliver, Democratic strategist, and Rick Wilson, the co-founder of the Lincoln Project and the aforementioned person that I quoted about the flop sweat. Rick, you know, it's funny because Kevin, it's almost like Kevin McCarthy, if he hung a sign on himself saying, "I committed crimes, please don't hurt me," it couldn't be more obvious, right? That he is terrified of it.
Okay.
I dropped a couple of nades. You guys know how to pick them up already.
Nice. I'm crafting.
Every time I take off that shield, bro, I feel like a turtle out of its shell, bro. Like, I feel weird.
Here, take mine.
I can craft too. How much is it? 45?
Just gonna get one bat, then we can go. Danger, you just press start, and up here in the top right, you'll see a little paintbrush. Click it to skin it to whatever skin you have as your preference.
Yep.
Yeah, chilling. They're fighting in there. They're fighting in there.
Right here, right here. There we go. Oh, that was free. No way.
What did?
He took it.
Where are they?
Play up.
You're duller than a broken sandwich.
Ask every night you want.
Huh? Even when I take you out. Gosh, it's awesome.
I'm undisputed.
You're supposed to get health.
Play up right.
Watch out, that team
Okay,
on the
yeah,
platform. Guys, you can't push us.
No, you're good, bro. You're good.
Recharging shields.
I thought you wanted to push it inside.
I think we just play conservative. There's a duo in there.
Look left, look left, look left.
Got it.
I got wrenched,
I'm gonna pad you guys. I'm gonna throw pad towards you.
We're good. He has the meanest heady, bro. Like, I can't shell it.
Just gonna play on this. God damn it, man. I thought we were going on that, kind of. Alright, it's a duo on the left.
Take shots on the
I'm here. Let's see right.
Yeah, go him. I'm holding left.
I don't see him either. Yo, he's behind that.
Yeah, they were.
In that tractor, guys.
Right here.
They're getting pushed. That team in the caravan that you guys originally pushed, they're getting shot at now.
Yeah, they are. I think we can get easy shots on this.
Yeah,
Come back to me.
Looking.
Guy right here.
Not on the backside. They're getting full send.
You guys got that, right?
I hit 140.
Wait. You have water. You have food. No one here sees looking stuff.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift. Seconds until minions spawn.
I used to risk my neck in the pit making someone else rich.
Minions have spawned.
The other way around. I like that better. Who's looking to lose a fight today? My old man ran off. You'd be smart to do the same. You calling me out? Anyone know
He fucking flashed. Oh my god, you piece of shit. I got a double kill.
I remember my first fight. I ran home crying to Mama. She wiped my tears with her gloss.
We find ourselves in, because here's the thing: once vaccines came along, it became very difficult to justify things like, for instance, shutting down bars and nightclubs or concert venues or not having in-person school. I mean, school particularly, right? But these are all important, valuable things. Shutting them down came at great cost. We felt that cost, a great cost to children first and foremost. More broadly, a great cost to the economy, a great cost to our mental well-being, massive societal disruption. So when a vaccine came along, policymakers could no longer really justify the massive cost of those shutdowns. But what that means is the unvaccinated in this country are currently living through a full pandemic without any interventions. And this is what it looks like. It's a horror show. And by the way, if you wanted an actual study that these interventions do work, we've got one of those too. The largest randomized study of its kind, looking at 340,000 people across 600 villages in Bangladesh, found that yes, masks work at stopping the spread of the virus. I'll say it again. Masks work. Of the 178,000 or so people encouraged to wear masks in the study, researchers saw masking rates increase 30%. And as NBC News reports, after the program was instituted, the researchers reported an 11.9% decrease in symptomatic COVID, right? So masking goes up 30%, COVID goes down 12%. Pretty clear. But this is the conundrum we're in. Because access to vaccines, man, you can't really go back to these massive, large-scale social interventions. It's harder. And so the disease is just going to run rampant among the unvaccinated. And it will end up infecting some vaccinated folks, too. Higher levels of community transmission mean higher levels of breakthrough infections. It's just a number game. And more breakthrough infections mean more of those rare cases where the fully vaccinated get severely ill and sometimes even die. This, I think, has become the fundamental challenge facing the Biden administration and our society in a way I think much of Washington and the political press corps have failed to grasp. Because the problem here, right, there's a mobilized core of the country that has been whipped up into a deadly frenzy to oppose all interventions to stop COVID. And that's, well, unless it's an intervention that is explicitly not being recommended, like a deworming agent, then they're all into it. For the first several months of this administration, the Biden folks had a very clear job. It was their responsibility to work out the logistics to get the supply of vaccines out and into arms. And that was a very difficult task, and they 100% aced that test. They did. And then the test got even more difficult because it turned to the question of demand and human psychology and sociology and trust and whether people wanted to take the vaccine. And there they have run into a brick wall. A few days ago on this show, we showed you some charts which show that COVID deaths are significantly higher in counties that voted for Donald Trump. But now we have even more information that demonstrates that point. For various reasons, it's missing some data from Alaska, Nebraska, and Florida, the states that don't report out by county. The takeaway, though, is pretty clear. Just look at that. It's rare you get data looking like that. The little blue bars on the left, those are the per capita deaths in the counties that went the most for Joe Biden. And as we go from left to right, the counties get more conservative. The big red bars on the right are the per capita deaths in counties that voted overwhelmingly for Donald Trump, and it's just clear as day. The more support for Trump, the more people that are dying of COVID right now. That could change in the future. It's possible partly this is geographical about where the Delta virus started and where it's going. But right now, that's the picture of the last 2 months. That is the picture of the havoc being wreaked by the Delta variant. And given all that, it's also important not to give up hope. It's also important to remember this. Every day in this country, we are vaccinating an average of more than 900,000 people, which means there are folks 2 days ago who decided to get vaccinated, and 3 days ago, and 4 days ago, and woke up this morning and wanted to get vaccinated. Almost 1 million of them. There are people coming to this day by day by day, and the polling shows the amount of people that are going to definitely not get the vaccine is now at its lowest level. Also, very encouraging. It's gone down to only 20%. Even when it feels like the situation is just overwhelming and defeating. Also remember, there are people on the ground every day doing the crucial work. And there has been progress, but we are now approaching the fall. Schools reopening in person across the country. We all remember what last winter looked like. The former FDA commissioner is warning the worst is still yet to come.
I think our true Delta wave is going to start to build after Labor Day here in the Northeast and the northern part of the country. This is going to be a highly regionalized epidemic. And so I do think that Labor Day and the return to school are going to be incubators for spread that's going to lead to that Delta wave. I don't think that we're done with this. I hope we are, but I don't think that we can conclude that just because the cases are coming down from the mini surge that we saw over the summer.
So now this is the biggest test yet for the American public, for the Biden administration, for all levels of government, Republican, Democrat, to find a way to have a safe and thriving fall and winter. Dr. Anthony Fauci is the chief medical advisor of President Joe Biden, director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. For the past 18 months, he's been the face of public health guidance in this country as we enter a potentially troubling fall and winter. Let's start, Dr. Fauci, with Scott Gottlieb's view on this and whether you share it, that we are in for the regional centers of this to move out of the sort of south and southwest as they've been and into the northeast, and that it's going to be a bad fall and winter.
Well, what he said I agree with. I hope that's not the case, but it does have the makings when you get over a holiday weekend like the Labor Day weekend and then start going into the fall. You have children coming back to school en masse. You know, there'll be hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of kids coming back to school. All of those ingredients together could actually lead to a resurgence of cases, and that's what we're concerned about.
What's the magic number? I mean, I looked at number. This has been this question all along, right? The thing I think we all want is for COVID to end up like polio and smallpox, or like chickenpox, right? Just a thing that we don't worry about anymore. Right. Extinguished, stamped out by the miracle of vaccination. And there's some number at which that happens. We are very clearly not there. I saw Singapore's up to 80%. They seem to be repelling it. Like, do we know what that number is? And is that even a thing that we're still thinking about as the explicit policy North Star goal?
You know, Chris, we don't know what that number is, but it's interesting, and it doesn't mean to be facetious about it, but you'll know it when you see it. You know, when you're dealing with a disease like measles, it's a very contagious, very transmissible disease, but the level of vaccination that you need in the community to get individuals to be free in the sense of having what we generally refer to as the concept of herd immunity, where you don't have any vulnerable targets, or if you have very, very few, and the virus has no place to go. That's generally what you talk about when you say herd immunity. For measles, that's over 90%. I don't know what it is for SARS-CoV-2, but you will know what it is when you get the overwhelming majority of people vaccinated and you start to see the number of cases plummet. And when they do and go down to the point of almost disappearing, whatever that percentage is, that's what it is. But rather than trying to figure out what the number is, I think we've got to do what you were hinting at in your introduction to the show, is to say we've got to get as many people vaccinated as we possibly can. We have somewhere around 80 million, 75, 80 million people who are eligible to be vaccinated in this country who are not yet vaccinated. We've got to get them vaccinated because, you see, all the numbers show the vulnerability of unvaccinated people, which in fact can spill over, as you suggested, into the vaccinated people. Because if you keep a lot of the virus dynamically circulating in the community, you're going to get breakthrough infections among the vaccinated people. And some of them, very few we know, but some of them are going to get seriously ill. So it cuts both ways. You have the vulnerability of the unvaccinated and the threat by keeping the dynamics of the virus alive in the community. You have a threat to everyone, including the vaccinated people.
Let's talk read from part of it. The weekly COVID-19 associated hospitalization rate per 100,000 children and adolescents during the week ending August 14th was nearly 5 times the rate during the week ending June 26th among children aged 0 to 4 years. The weekly hospitalization rate during the week ending August 14th was nearly 10 times that during the week ending of June 26th. There's a question here of, is it the case that this is more dangerous for kids than previous variants, and is that what the data is saying?
It doesn't necessarily say that, Chris. What it says, we know Delta is a bad actor. It transmits extremely efficiently. So you are seeing more people, everyone, adults and children, getting infected. The more children getting infected, a certain proportion of them are going to require hospitalization. And the more children get infected, the more kids you're going to see that are going to require hospitalization. We do not know yet. We don't have enough data, Chris, to say that on a child-by-child basis, it's much more severe, Delta. It might be there's some hints that it is more severe in adults, so you might be able to extrapolate that maybe it's going to be more severe in children. But from the data we have, the only thing we know is that more children are getting infected, and the more kids that get infected, more of them are going to wind up in the hospital. And that's what that MMWR tells you.
I want to be really clear on this because it's something parents are thinking about a lot. What I just read is the total hospitalization rate for all children. What you're saying is that is going up because all children are getting much more COVID. COVID is moving through children because Delta is more transmissible. But it is not the case, it has not been definitively established, that the percentage of children getting COVID, of kids that get COVID, there's a higher likelihood of being hospitalized with COVID compared to previous rounds of disease, which is the thing that parents are worried about and as of yet is not definitively established by the data.
You are correct, Chris. That has not been definitively established by the data. What has been definitively established is what you said a moment ago and what I said, that more children are getting infected and therefore more of them are going to get hospitalized. We are struggling to get enough data to be able to make a determination of whether or not, as you said, per number of kids infected, is you getting, relatively speaking, more that are requiring hospitalization. We don't know that yet.
Let's talk about boosters. There's been a little back and forth on this, and again, I want to be sympathetic to people that are making determinations under conditions of uncertainty and emerging data. It appeared an announcement of a recommendation for boosters for people that had been immunized, I think, 9 months. After 9 months. Today, top federal officials have told the White House to scale back that plan to offer coronavirus booster shots to the general public later this month, saying that regulators need more time to collect and review.
A discordance between the two products as to when it would be ready to be approved for a boost.
All right, Dr. Anthony Fauci, as always, appreciate you taking the time to talk through this stuff with us and our viewers. Thanks a lot.
Good to be with you, Chris. Thank you for having me.
All right, the Texas abortion bill, left in place by a narrow 5-4 majority of the Supreme Court this week, is so extreme that Republicans won't talk about it. And other states are planning to replicate the radical Texas law. There is now an urgent need for those supporting abortion rights to press their political advantage to stop these laws from spreading, because Texas is likely just the beginning. What can be done after this? For decades, public opinion on abortion in America has been complicated and difficult to pin down, and it can be very, very finicky and responsive to how you ask the question. But for the most part, all right, those who believe abortion should be legal has consistently over the years been ahead of those who think it should be outlawed. So what opponents of abortion have tried to do when they're sort of waging their battle for public opinion is to focus on edge cases. For example, so-called partial birth abortions, abortions that are very, very late term, because that has less public support and it brings the public more to their side. But because the Texas law is so extreme, so cruel, and so dystopian, we're seeing it become essentially indefensible. Texas appellate lawyer Rafi Melkonian makes this point on Twitter by highlighting the fact that, according to the law, the statutory language, you can be sued if you intend to engage in the conduct of helping someone get an abortion. Wait a second. Think about that for a second. If you intend to engage in it, if you're in Texas right now and you're sitting there and you're thinking, I want to help someone get an abortion, you can be sued. That is, as Rafi Melkonian rightly points out, bananas when applied to constitutional rights. Obviously, that can't work. That's not going to stand. And I think this is part of why most Republicans are not out there celebrating and defending the law, even the ones who helped write the damn thing. BuzzFeed News contacted all of Texas Republicans in the House of Representatives and both of the state's senators. Out of a total of 25 officials, okay, these are the congressional Republican, just 4 responded. Only 1 referred to the case. Now, the question is, how do those who believe in abortion rights want to push the issue on this odious bill and the ones that are sure to follow? Nancy Northup is the president and CEO of the Center for Reproductive Rights, who had filed an emergency request to block the Texas abortion ban. Emily Kane's the executive director of Emily's List, an organization that helps elect Democratic women in favor of abortion rights. And they both join me now. I slightly misspoke above. The folks who were in the Texas congressional delegation obviously didn't write this bill. That's the Texas State House and State Senate. So just wanted to correct that. Nancy, we've got some news. There is actually a state court judge that has issued a sort of injunction directed at a specific class of people that just happened about an hour ago. Can you explain what just happened in the state court?
Sure. Well, let me just start by saying, of course, it's been a devastating 2 days since the Supreme Court turned its back on the Constitution and the people in the state of Texas and allowed this abortion ban, near ban, to go into effect. And so it's been chaos for people trying to get access to care. And of course, we're looking at every legal option. And today, in a lawsuit that Planned Parenthood and its affiliates filed in Texas against Texas Right to Life, they got an injunction today that stops Texas Right to Life from engaging in these lawsuits with respect to Planned Parenthood. So it's an interim ruling, but it's a first step in showing that this law is absolutely out of bounds.
Emily, I want to read you from the Wall Street Journal op-ed today, which I thought was interesting. This is the supporter of abortion restrictions and, in fact, getting rid of Roe v. Wade, who write this. Texas Republicans have handed Democrats a political grenade to hurt the anti-abortion cause. This is the editorial board. Pro-life groups have spent nearly 50 years arguing that abortion is a political question to be settled in the states by public debate. Yet now Texas, they want to use the courts via civil litigation to limit abortion. I do think this law is so frankly odious that more Republicans and those who oppose abortion rights should have to own it. And I wonder if you folks who work in the trenches of the political opinion on this feel the same way.
Absolutely, Chris. Let's start with the fact that the overwhelming majority of Americans are on the side of those who want to see and keep Roe versus Wade as the law of the land. That is what keeps women safe, what keeps people safe who need reproductive care. This Texas law goes too far. And what I would say to your listeners, to your watchers, is do you know who your state senator is? Do you know
on, dude. Oh my god, just free drags. Oh, okay. Dude.
Enemy rampage.
Like, you can't just fuck up and run, dude. Like, I don't know why you play Samara if you don't know what you're doing, but, like, it's huge. Your ult's huge. Cool. Like, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about Samara. Samara is literally the one that needs to fucking ult. What? He fucking ran? Fuck off, dude. Oh my god, dude. You guys just fucking run. We're not there. It's over. Another loss, dude.
A new report from Vanity Fair suggests that Donald Trump, and this is actually coming from Republicans who claim to have spoken to Trump, Donald Trump has no intention of ever actually finding a political heir. And I know you've probably heard me talk about, you know, who's going to be the heir to Donald Trump's political movement here. A lot of people think it's going to be Ron DeSantis, but as reports have said, those closest to Trump have said he doesn't like DeSantis. And he thinks DeSantis is not grateful enough to him for making him popular. But the report goes even deeper. It's not just about Donald Trump not wanting an heir. It's about the fear that these Republicans have that Donald Trump is somehow going to sabotage the Republican Party in 2024 if he doesn't run for president. So there's the big if. If Donald Trump runs for president, then there's no problem with the Republicans, right? They don't have to worry about him coming out and angrily attacking whoever their nominee is, because the nominee would be him. But I'm thinking, based on what I've read in this report, and based on what, you know, these Republicans close to Trump are saying, I think he's leaning towards not running. I don't think we'd be getting reports like this if Donald Trump was, you know, 100% dead set on running for president again. We also have to keep in mind the very slim possibility that Trump might not be able to run, depending on what happens with the New York investigation that is still going on. So that's a possibility. But what these Republicans are worried about is they're assuming, okay, Trump doesn't run in this scenario. So if he doesn't run, how accepting is he going to be of the eventual nominee? Is he going to get behind the individual, whoever it is? Or is he going to let his hatred and anger for people like Mitch McConnell overflow to the point where he attacks the whole Republican Party and says, you deserve to lose because you don't listen to me.
Imagine, dude.
Now, you may think that's far-fetched, but it's not. Because it literally already happened this year. Donald Trump was so upset with Mitch McConnell for not wanting to go along with the plan to challenge the Electoral College votes that Trump, according to reports, had come out and told Republicans do not vote for Loeffler and Perdue in the Georgia special election that took place, you know, a couple days before the insurrection. Do not vote for these people. Send a message. Let the Democrats retake the Senate to teach Mitch McConnell a message. Or a lesson, excuse me. Send him a message, teach him a lesson. I don't know how I got that mixed up, but I did, but either way. They're worried about another scenario of that. They're worried that whoever the eventual nominee is, if they don't pay homage to Trump, if they don't bow down and kiss the ring, Trump may torpedo the whole damn thing. And yes, that is a real possibility. Even if we didn't have history to base this on, you know, the Georgia special election where Trump did do this, it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility anyway. Because this is who Trump is. He wants to be the face. He wants to be the body. He wants to be the figurehead of the Republican Party, whether he runs or not. And because of that, you, to be a loyal Republican these days and not face his wrath or face the wrath of other Republicans in Congress, you have to be loyal to him. That's where your loyalty lies. It's not to the Constitution. It's not to your constituents. It's to that one man sitting his fat ass down there in Mar-a-Lago. That's what it is. And if you don't do that, he is going to come after you. We have seen that. We have seen it all year. So is he spiteful enough to give Joe Biden potentially another 4 more years in the White House? Is he spiteful enough? Yeah. Yes, he is. But all of this hinges on that one big if. And it is, if may torpedo...
I'd have lost, dude. No. It's always like this at night, dude. Always like that fucking night, dude. It's like, dude, you went, it's like you're blaming them for dying a lot for the score, and that's cool. I blame Samira for never ulting in a team fight. Cool. But the reason they're so far behind is because you also fed their fucking lanes. Like, you also died to their lanes a lot. So of course they're gonna lose. And I know you was doing that because then you started one they can't fucking top. And that was after you fed bot lane, they were already fucking snowballing. Like, come on, bro. I'm telling you, dude, like, if I want to climb, I gotta go. All this, I don't have all the fun champs. I don't think I have Zach, right? Like, I don't have all the fun champs. Zach is fun. Like, yeah, it's just either I get absolutely no attention. I mean, it's or they can't top, completely ignore bot, and usually, right, if the bot lane is smart, they pick a carry. Pick someone like Vayne, Talon, Tristana, someone that could just run around and hard carry. Unless you go tank and you're also fed top lane. Like, then you have just the battle of the titans. Instead of it being a team game.
Back 3 times, Red. 38 twice on one.
We can ape this shit. We can ape this shit. I can throw an instant in there, bro. He's padding back. I hit him a lot. They're padding back. They're padding back. Ugh. Oh, I'm low on ammo. Fuck.
Yo, he's one shot right here. Go, the rat.
The rat on the right? Okay.
Yeah, right here.
In the crater, go in the crater.
50 unit crates. Blue crates, right here.
35 purple.
I need help on this guy, bro. He's literally by himself.
You guys are playing up on my left, bro. Gotta help people. They're gonna send him. They're gonna send him. Why did? Nice. I'm batting. You gotta watch me. Guys, we need to send this team. We need to send this team. There's a team of 3.
Go now. I got you, bro. Just watch over. Watch over.
The team of 3.
Go now. I got you, bro. Just watch over. Watch over your left. Watch left. Yeah.
Okay, trying. Oh god, that's not good.
No, it's fine.
We need to watch this right side now.
I have all in 2 seconds. Just wait.
Take your time.
Can I have a bat from somebody?
I don't have a bat.
Take a rock to the right. I'm taking a rock to the right. Take a rock to the right. Come on.
Yeah, I'm coming to you. Yo, I'm gonna drop this low here. I'm dropping this low.
Yeah.
Here. I literally need. I'm trying to get a red, bro.
Where's this rat? Is he over here?
Yeah, with the wraith behind us.
There's reds.
He was on top.
He's on top.
Behind you, Nick.
Go left.
I'm ulting. Scanning.
I'm weak. Batting too.
I'm watching you guys.
I think they're pushing up.
Yeah, they are. Play right. One's weak up top.
Bubble.
One's white. The fat guy. They're both white up top.
Yeah. Go.
Drop off the back.
Yo, to your left. See.
Guys, they're both rinsed. Please, I need help.
I'm one. He's one shot. Keep one.
They're both the big guys are weak. Oh my god.
We're good.
No, right here. I mean, he's trying to kill me.
A lot of brain.
Go.
I
Now looking back.
You want style? You found her.
What's going on, guys? This is Rob, and let's talk about Shang-Chi, because this movie was beautiful. Oh my God, it was so unique. Now, here's a funny thing. You wouldn't know it unless you were absolutely looking for it, so I don't know if this really falls in the realm of a spoiler, but there's an Easter egg as it pertains to Galactus and a reference to Kang the Conqueror. The real question is, can you guys spot it? So, here's the cool thing. First things first, the movie, like I said, felt beautiful, right? It was unique and it was phenomenal, and it felt great. One of the big fears that I imagine a lot of people had, including myself, my fiance Mariah, is that, well, I wouldn't necessarily say we were gonna see like full-on whitewashing throughout the film, that the beauty of what could be a movie highlighting Asian culture would kind of be synthesized down to fit the mold of a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. That was not the case, right? The beauty of Asian culture was on full display for the world to see, and it was phenomenal, right? And here's the crazy thing, the soundtrack added to it in an incredible way. The soundtrack we got in the trailer was really cool. You don't really hear that a lot over the course of the movie. Some of the fight scenes you hear it, but in terms of like the interim scenes, when you're exploring a new area, when you're seeing different things, especially when the beauty of Asian culture is being highlighted, it's a wholly different feel. You know what it reminds me of? The whole soundtrack for the second half of the film, after they discover Ta Lo, it reminds me of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. That's what it reminds me of. If any of you guys ever saw that movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you didn't see Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, you're doing yourself a severe disservice. It's probably one of the most beautiful movies about Asian culture that was ever made in the history of Hollywood. It's phenomenal. But nonetheless, the soundtrack for the film was fantastic. I loved that like the Mandarin was not your stereotypical villain, right? He wasn't like Obadiah Stane or like the guy that created Taskmaster. I can't remember his name because he was forgettable. Like it wasn't like any of those guys, right? The Mandarin was in a lot of ways humanized. I thought he was just gonna be like, I'm the Mandarin, blarg, I'm bent on world domination, and I've tricked you, Shang-Chi. Roll credits. Like, I thought that was gonna be the overall film, but it wasn't. The Mandarin was complex, and he was great, and it was amazing. You know, I loved that. Honestly, and this is the craziest thing, to say. As much as I love Shang-Chi, he didn't really feel like the star of his own movie. I mean, obviously he was. There's really no way to contest that. The way the film unfolded, he was. What I mean by that when I say I don't feel like he was a star of his own film is everybody else was awesome in that movie. They all had something to offer. They all brought something unique, whether it was a feel or it was a character's plot progression, whatever the case happened to be. The only person that we didn't really get a whole lot of feel for was a guy in the mask who trained Shang-Chi, right? I don't remember his name. He's got a name in the comics. I don't know. Honestly, he was a throwaway character you only saw for about 10 issues, so I can't really remember his name. But nonetheless, you know, it was cool to see him, right? He was kind of there for a little while, but everybody else, right? Especially the Mandarin, the relationship between Shang-Chi and the Mandarin himself, that was very complicated, and it was beautifully handled and beautifully done. Now, having said all that, right, love the movie, let's get to the really, really good stuff, right? Let's get to this really, really cool stuff that I'm sure you guys clicked on this video for. First things first, I hear these rumors or see these rumors flying around the internet right now. Ta Lo is technically not one of the 7 capital cities of heaven, but it could be. Now, here's the deal. For those of you guys who aren't familiar with the 7 capital cities of heaven, these are basically 7 particular dimensions or kingdoms that exist in Marvel Comics. And traditionally, their doors only open for the rest of the world to access once every 88 years. Now, at the same time, what you also have is called the Tournament of the Heart of Heaven, or when they all merge into a singular kingdom, it's referred to as the Heart of Heaven. That matters. That was actually covered during Immortal Weapons. Why does all this matter? Because one of the 7 capital cities of heaven is Kunlun, where Danny Rand became Iron Fist, and in fact, where a lot of people were Iron Fist before Danny Rand. Basically, it's one of these things that people are theorizing that Ta Lo could be one of these cities, and it could be a way to kind of expand out beyond the Shang-Chi mythos and actually wrap in the Danny Rand mythos without us having to worry about getting that terrible version of his character from Netflix, because that version sucked. But even if it's not necessarily one of the 7 capital cities in the comics, as we know with the movies, they change things up. If I'm being honest with you guys, if they were to replace Ta Lo with one of the 7 capital cities from the comics, it would likely be Ping Lai. That's the one they would probably replace it with, because Ping Lai is basically just an island kingdom, right? It's exactly like the way that you saw Ta Lo depicted. That's basically Ping Lai in the comics. Biggest issue you have is Ta Lo is an actual place in Marvel Comics, and it actually exists. But they could just wipe out Ping Lai entirely and just take Ta Lo as it exists in the comics and switch it over to being Ping Lai in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and there you go, right? And it works perfect, which also brings us to our next point, right? The Easter egg as it pertains to Galactus, the Dweller in Darkness. Now, at the time that I am making this video, or sometime during today, I'll actually be uploading a video called The Dweller in Darkness Explained over at Comics Explained that will make you an expert on the character. But to give you the quick and dirty explanation here, the Dweller in Darkness is the reason Galactus exists in Marvel Comics. So the way this worked is that in the universe prior to the main Marvel universe, that Galactus was a guy named Gallon, and his universe was basically dying. He didn't really know why, but what you end up finding out in the Adventures of the X-Men miniseries is that there was a being who was basically a fear lord, somebody akin to Nightmare, but less powerful, named the Dweller in Darkness. And the Dweller in Darkness had actually fractured the M'Kraan crystal, which is a hallway of doors for the multiverse, and quite literally started sucking the whole multiverse in. Now, ultimately, the Dweller in Darkness was defeated, but the collapse of the multiverse couldn't be stopped. And so Gallon had actually merged with the sentience of his universe, and then was kind of reborn with the new multiverse and a version of Galactus in every single universe. So that's where you get Galactus from in Marvel Comics. Now, obviously, this is not an explanation of where Galactus comes from in the MCU. That's why I say it's just a nice little Easter egg. But it does give us our first real depiction of a Fear Lord in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Somebody that comes from the same stock as Nightmare, even though the Dweller in Darkness is not as powerful as Nightmare is. Nightmare will basically be very similar to what you see from the Dweller in Darkness in Shang-Chi. The big difference is that Nightmare will likely look like a person. He does in the comics. There's no reason to believe he won't in the movies. In the comics, the Dweller in Darkness really looks like a giant demonic dragon type being. So there really isn't a whole lot of differentiation between how the characters are depicted in the comics versus the movies. But again, our first real Fear Lord. It's cool. It's very, very exciting, right? Because this sets us on the path, and really it's Marvel kind of slowly introducing us to the idea of extra-dimensional lords, demonic entities, beings, different things like that, who could just wreak untold power across the entirety of the universe. Now, in relation to the King the Conqueror reference, which I'm sure a lot of you guys probably clicked on this for. Let's talk about the mid-credit scene for a second. The post-credit scene is a post-credit scene, right? It's basically Shang's sister taking over the entirety of her father's kingdom, right? And that's basically it. But the cool thing here is that the mid-credit scene is basically them, like Wong and like Bruce Banner and Carol Danvers, analyzing the 10 rings that Shang-Chi had in his possession. And the important thing here is Wong says there's nothing about this in the Codex of the Sorcerer Supremes. And that in turn, you've got Carol Danvers, who's like, I've never seen anything like this in the universe. And Bruce Banner's like, I have no idea how this works. But once they break it down, they realize it's a homing beacon. It's sending out a signal to someone. Now, where is this signal being sent from? Okay, a couple of things to keep in mind. Just because the Sorcerer Supreme exists does not mean the Sorcerer Supreme is aware of everything in the world, is aware of every single artifact in existence. And if the Rings of the Mandarin were one of these things that just kind of existed on Earth and nobody had ever really used them until eventually the Mandarin came across them and then took them from whatever it is he got them from, there'd be no reason for the Sorcerer Supreme to look for it. Because it's not as though somebody's running around with the 10 rings just like obliterating all things in existence and causing all kinds of problems, and then it boils down to a huge problem between like the Ancient One and whoever's wielding the 10 rings of the Mandarin, right? It's not necessarily that way. They literally could have just been sitting in the side of a cave and then the Mandarin eventually found them, right? Even in the beginning of the movie, we're not given an indication of where it is that the Mandarin got these rings, right? All we're really told is that there's just myths and legends of how he got his hands on them. We just simply know that he has them. Now, let's look at Carol Danvers. Carol Danvers says there's no technology like this across the entirety of the universe. That's important. Bruce Banner doesn't understand it. He's like, this technology is way beyond me. The reason why I think nobody knows anything about these rings is because technically they don't exist yet. They haven't been invented yet. These rings are from the future and they belong to King the Conqueror. Advanced technology the ability to harness the elements, to achieve all kinds of different things. I think everything you saw, the entire use of the rings over the course of this movie was virtually nothing, right? It's like some primitive person picking up a shotgun and using it as like a baseball bat or like a blunt object, right, to just beat somebody over the head with, completely and blissfully unaware of its intended purpose, whatever that purpose happens to be. We know in the comics that if the rings are utilized to their full potential, you can control all kinds of elements. You can control like dark force energy to literally just encase people in darkness, seemingly for all eternity. You can do all kinds of different things, right? These rings, while not necessarily on the same par or the same level as somebody like Doctor Strange, can get you pretty darn close to him, right? So these rings are capable of incredible things, assuming that they're taking their nature in the comics and bringing it over to the movies. Having said that, I think it belongs to Kang the Conqueror. Now the question has to be asked, if the rings are from the future and they belong to Kang, how do they end up in the present day? Well, if they end up following the logic of Marvel Comics and they bring that into the movies at some form or fashion, then Kang the Conqueror at one point traveled into the past on Earth and became a pharaoh by the name of Rama-Tut. Because if you look at the rings themselves, where they are glowing blue, and they do seem to kind of indicate maybe letters and things like that, when you actually look, when you look at the actual inscription on them, the blue parts really seem to only indicate characters from Asian culture. But the overall writing on the side doesn't lend itself to any one particular culture. It doesn't look like it's hieroglyphics from Egypt. It doesn't look like it's from Asia. It doesn't look like Old English. It doesn't look like any of that stuff, right? It really has no particular symbology that ties it down to any one particular culture across the world, because I don't think it exists yet, right? I think that lends a strong credence to the fact that no one in the universe, Carol Danvers, has never seen anything like it in the entire known universe, and we have to believe that given her access to the advanced technology of the Kree, they've probably cataloged virtually every culture in the entirety of the universe, so surely she's like, well, let me just go back and access our library of information, and she can't find anything, right? Wong, with all the information he has as Sorcerer Supreme, basically covers the existence of every magical artifact across the entirety of Earth, along with pretty much all the dimensions that they've explored and that they know about. And of course, Bruce Banner's pretty intelligent. Is he on par with Iron Man? No. Is he on par with Reed Richards? Hell no. But he is still pretty smart. And if he can't figure it out, well then seemingly nobody could, because I don't think the rings exist yet. I don't think they've been created by Kang. Kang will create them in the future. Kang will use them for whatever the purpose happens to be. He'll end up in the past in Egypt as Rama-Tut. He'll do whatever it is that he wants to do over there. Who knows what his motivation will be for doing that. The rings will somehow get left behind and they will just sit on Earth until they're discovered by the Mandarin, who uses them in his primitive understanding of advanced technology to basically start conquering different societies and expanding his sphere of influence across Asia, running all the way up until the modern era. So with that being said, guys, let me know what you think down in the comments section. Did you love the movie? Did you enjoy the movie? Let me know, and I'll catch you all later. Peace. What's going on, guys? This is Rob. So we did our video on the origins and powers of the Watcher, which didn't really get the reception that I was hoping for, but I don't know if it's because nobody cares about the Watcher or because nobody cares about the idea. So we're gonna do a second video here, and probably maybe a third or a fourth one, just kind of get a better feel for what's going on. But in this video, we're gonna focus on Gorr the God Butcher. So who is Gorr the God Butcher? Well, one, we know he's going to appear in Thor 4, right? So I guess it bears worth discussing. The origin of Gorr the God Butcher is actually in Thor Volume 1, Issue number 6, which was written by Jason Aaron as part of an ongoing story arc, but basically in the Thor God of Thunder series. So the idea behind this is that Gorr was basically a guy who lived on a world that sucked, right? Life on this world was rough. I mean, it was literally just every day was a battle for survival against like the elements, predators, dehydration, starvation. I mean, it was rough, right? It was like the south side of Chicago, right? Just a rough place to be. And so what ended up happening here is that over the course of his time, Gorr came to the realization of a couple different things. One, the tribe that he was a part of was highly religious, insofar as they would pray to the gods every day for like rain or to discover food or something like that. And that anytime anything good happened, it was because the gods were rewarding them for their faith. Anytime anything bad happened, it's because the gods were testing them. The other thing that happened is that over the course of his lifespan, specifically when he was in adulthood, he lost his wife and kids to any number of things: starvation, earthquakes, natural disasters. things like that. Ultimately, this all came to a head when Gorr publicly cursed the idea of the gods and basically denounced them, right? Told his people, and even like his tribal elder, the gods don't exist. Because if they do, why would they ignore us like this? Why would we live in such harsh conditions? The result of this is that Gorr was exiled from his tribe. He was kicked out. But once he was out and kind of trying to survive on his own, and actually pretty close to death, he ended up discovering the bodies of two gods who had died in battle. One was gold and one was black. Now, to kind of sidetrack here, at the time this story came out, we didn't know who any of these gods were, who either of these guys were. More recently, in Donny Cates' run on Venom, we actually learned that one of these gods, the one that was clad in black, is named Knull the symbiote god. Now, let's talk about him for a second, because he's actually really important to understanding the powers of Gorr the God Butcher. So Knull was a being who existed before all of creation, right? When the universe was just an empty void. Kind of a funny thing here, when Marvel makes this kind of declaration, time doesn't exist at that point in the universe's history. So it doesn't really make any sense to say Knull occupied this space for billions of years, or for 5 years, or for like a year or 2 months. It was just oblivion, right? Emptiness. There was just nothing there. But at one point in time, the Celestials either came into existence, most likely entered that universe following the defeat of the first universe, and that in turn, they started creating life in the universe, right? Galaxies, solar systems, planets, stars, people, all kinds of stuff. And this pissed off Knull because he was basically the ultimate introvert. He wanted to be left the hell alone. And so he ended up waging a war against the Celestials. One of the Celestials he actually killed with his sword called the All Black. So the space station in Marvel Comics and in the MCU, that floating celestial head that we call Nowhere, that is the result of Knull killing one of the Celestials. Now ultimately he was defeated by the rest of the Celestials, but during this war he had basically used the All Black to create something called the Living Abyss. And the Living Abyss is literally like this just kind of blackness, almost like an inky substance that he can control. That's where symbiotes come from in Marvel Comics, right? Venom, Carnage, all those guys, they come from the Living Abyss. Technically, Carnage is the offspring of Venom, but it's all more or less the same thing. The reason why this matters is that when Gorr stumbled across the body of Knull, the symbiote god, and he took his sword called the All Black, two big things happen. The first is that Gorr came to the realization gods do actually exist. But because of the harsh environment on the world that he was living in, because of how terrible things were, and despite the fact that they always prayed to the gods, in the end, the gods existed, but didn't care. The second thing that happened is that by taking the All Black Necrosword, he was imbued with basically all the powers of Knull. And so using this, he basically went on a crusade across the universe, killing every god that he could find, because in his mind, gods don't care about the people that pray to them, therefore gods don't need to exist, right? It's one of the coolest concepts in Marvel. Now, as far as the powers of Gorr the God Butcher go, it's interesting here. While he does seemingly have all the powers of Knull the symbiote god, his understanding of the Living Abyss is limited. So he doesn't fully grasp what it is he's capable of. Instead, the only thing he really did was create something called the Black Berserkers. These are basically like what the symbiotes would be if they took on a form based on what the person wanted, right? So Gorr wanted like these kind of, you know, really henchmen, for lack of a better word, and so he fashioned those out of it. The other part of this is that while he never really had any superpowers in and of himself in his base form when he was living on that world, when he discovered the All Black Necrosword, he basically gained your standard fare of powers, right? Increased strength, durability, speed, reflexes, all that kind of stuff. But do not let that deceive you. To give you perspective on what Gorr the God Butcher was capable of, this guy was nuts. All right, so the first time he meets Thor is when you really get to see his powers on display, right? The kind of indication of what he can do in relation to Thor. Now, there is a bit of a caveat. At this point in time, it was during the 9th century, Thor did not have access to Mjolnir. He hadn't gained the ability to lift it yet. So what he had in its stead was called Jarnbjorn, basically this giant battle axe that was magically enchanted really through the efforts of Kang and Loki that allowed him to kill Celestials, or at least Celestial technology. The important thing here is that when he fought Gorr for the first time, Gorr beat the hell out of him, right? He almost killed Thor. Now, the whole thing behind this is that Thor came to the realization that Gorr existed because there were gods, or at least a god that was killed by Gorr in the Americas that washed up on the shores of Iceland. And then eventually Thor found himself in what was essentially Russia, where he found even more gods that had been killed by Gorr, but Gorr was still there at the time. So literally, Gorr beats the hell out of Thor, like almost kills him, and then takes him and tortures him for 17 days. During that time, you actually find out that Gorr tortured the god of torture. It was crazy. It was one of the most bonkers things. Eventually, Thor's allies in the form of Vikings show up and basically offer a kind of distraction, and then Thor cuts off the arm of Gorr and then leaves him for dead, right? So the belief is that Gorr had basically been defeated. Gorr escapes and then just continues his crusade to kill gods until he meets Thor in the modern day. And then he beats the hell out of him again, right? Because he's just grown more powerful as time went on. Eventually, you get to the future, right? The far-flung future, where you have Thor from the past, the present, and the future, who all band together, right? To give you perspective, this is gonna blow your mind, and I hope we see it in Thor 4, right? There comes a point where Thor from the present gets the all-black Necro Sword, right? So he basically has the power of Gorr. He has 2 hammers, 2 Mjolnirs, and he still can't defeat Gorr. It's crazy how powerful this guy is. Now, the whole goal of Gorr was to basically create something called the God Bomb, which is essentially a bomb that he would send into the time stream and then detonate. And it would basically kill all the gods across the timeline. But in that far-flung future, Gorr's power was on such a level that he actually launched an attack against Asgard, defeated all the Asgardians, including Thor in the future, who basically had the Thor equivalent of the Odin Force, and then forced all the Asgardians that he didn't kill into working form to build the God Bomb. This guy was a hoss. Now, eventually, Gorr is defeated, but then Loki brings him back accidentally. And then, like, this great big huge battle ensues between, like, Thor and Gorr. And there's a point where Gorr uses the All Black to make himself a universe. Like, literally, Thor is fighting a universe. Now, the
What? Just walking back and forth, do not know where to go. Fucking flashed on me, dude.
I am not a lawyer. I do not.
All over the country.
The line was 2 miles long. All this while the National Weather Service has issued a heat advisory, a heat index of 107 degrees today in New Orleans. Again, I can't stress this enough, and I don't want you to glide past it. This is a disaster in Louisiana that is getting worse by the day now, not better. even as the federal government and the state just pours resources in to try to get basic infrastructure back up and running, the scale of the devastation means it is really slow going. And this means our fellow Americans, thousands and thousands of our fellow Americans, are right now in
What is he, like an EMT?
This man used to be a clown.
Yeah.
Yeah, yammed up all up in front of us.
Oh, that's his
Why?
ass. Wow, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, yammed up all up in front of us.
Oh, that's his
Why?
ass. Wow, I didn't even notice that.
Ridiculous.
Okay, what are you guys thinking?
I said maybe like an EMT or something like that.
Okay.
Oh boy. I'm just gonna go with clown.
I think he was a crook.
He hasn't said clown yet.
By the way, I'm guessing that their relationship is also one of the 7 mysteries of the agency.
Yeah, probably.
So he's like, no, I wasn't a bum. Oh wow.
A job?
They're not related.
Yeah, like I said, she probably has like
That's
a
annoying.
sibling fetish.
Yeah.
In my
Yeah,
past
that's
life, I
fucking
used to be a broom.
Yeah.
Sir? In a double suicide?
What is wrong with this guy?
What the fuck? Where are we? Server
Or he
room?
could be like, he could have been like a detective
He's
or
spanking him.
somebody that talks people out of suicides.
You know, sure, I'm starting to think you're kind of. You might be right on that.
ボロをまとった連中のようです。密輸業者の類だろう。運慶がいくら取り締まっても船虫のようにはお前が行け。
You go? He's like, no. Ma'am?
Nervous about his first job.
不運かつ不幸なお前の情がないわけじゃない。
Dag.
故にこの町で生きるコツを一つだけ教え、こいつには会うな。
Oh.
会ったら逃げろ。
Runs into.
Oh shit.
この人はポートマフィアと呼ばれている。この町の黒社会で最も危険な連中だ。中でもその写
Oh, the
真
niggas from the intro.
この探偵社のメンバーでも手に負えない。そいつが異能力
Yeah,
者。
you don't want to find out, bro.
しかも殺戮に特化したすこぶる残忍な異能力で俺でも奴と戦うのはごめんだ。
So therefore, I can do what I want.
芥川だ。
Oh shit. Bro, they just working their jobs.
No, shut up!
Oh, they just. Dog. Nah, son.
Oh, they're dead already.
Oh, time for the
scream.
Cue the scream.
It's a bomb. Leave, man. Because I don't know who sits there and stares. I would have been out.
Rashomon.
I'd have been like, I didn't see nothing. I didn't hear nothing. I'm going home.
Yep. What fucking song was that?
Bro.
How was that a song?
Did he write that himself? Written and produced by Dazai. What is it, for support?
Yeah.
着きました。こちらです。密輸業者というのは臆病な連中です。取り方がそっちから来たら逃げ場がない。失礼とは存じます。
Oh my goodness.
What the
What
fuck?
just happened?
あなた方です。
Oh, fuck.
No, run! 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 But what the fuck? Yeah. But what the fuck? Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I feel like dude knew that was gonna happen. That's why he showed him the picture. Wait.
Dude.
The girl! Naomi!
Oh no.
She has to be gifted. Yeah, I must clean the wound.
I think that might be his gift because he said it's not suited for combat.
So he's in shock. Oh shit.
No, he's in shock.
Unless it's he lied.
The fucking Matrix.
Oh
shit! He's literally the fucking Matrix.
He better hurry up before that dude shows up, man.
Nigga, did he just turn this into wallpaper?
He basically made it to where the only thing she can't see, she literally can't see him. She changed the type of light that she saw.
Ay, ay, ay!
Yep, there it is. What I said. What I just said. What I just fucking say. This is getting fucked up right now.
He said deceit. Oh my gosh.
What is happening?
I think they want him.
Okay, this is this.
Yeah, the were tiger. They want him. Damn. Useless bitch though.
Were tiger.
Run. I think he's trying to get. I don't think he knows like.
Oh wow.
Oh fuck. Devours any.
I'm impressed that they're still living.
Space where the bullets went. They
Locked them all. Yep. Oh, it devoured the bullets. Oh,
ate the
wow.
space where the bullets went. Therefore, the bullets went nowhere.
Oh, goodbye leg.
Yep.
God damn, dude. If he would have ran, he would have still got attacked.
They told him to run.
Yeah,
What is happening in the show right now?
As regeneration.
He grew the leg back? Oh, shit.
Like Shura said. Oh.
Oh, bye-bye.
Yeah, please kill her.
Oh, no, he's going to
He's gonna
protect
get
her.
hit. Ito?
Ouch.
Whoa. Oh, it's going to regrow.
What the fuck?
That's the other guy's technique, yeah.
Get fucked.
I think they're trying to take him alive because they want his ability.
His ability.
Okay, that's enough. Oh.
Like, there must be some way to extract
This
it.
nigga just shows up and turns both of them off?
Yeah. He hit the... Because remember, he had that inkling when he was sitting there, and his eyes got big, and he's like, oh. He's making it seem like he was listening to double...
He snuck it in her pocket.
Wow.
Got something in my
And
pocket
then
for
he was
you.
making it seem like he was listening to double suicide songs. You don't have a choice.
So he's afraid of him.
Yeah, because you shut his shit off. You're just a regular dude now. Really?
Whoa!
では武装探偵社と戦争かいやってみたまえよ
零細企業ごときが我々はこの町の暗部そかが中枢いないのだぞ
I said he was a criminal! I said it! I said he was a criminal. Yep. Yep.
He did say he was.
I literally
he did say
said
he
that
was a
shit.
criminal. But then you know what? It makes sense because that's why he's like, yeah, we're gonna leave because he already knows like he.
Yeah, he knows what he's
that-
capable of. I said he was a criminal because nobody would expect a former criminal to be doing the work that they're doing now. That's why they can't figure it out. Bro. Oh my god. This show is dope.
Hey, I rub off on him.
Yeah, the Shiragan just bleeding over into me, bro.
I don't need to know.
Knowing that might be my favorite.
Strokes.
Oh.
That's all it took.
Man, I've been so straight not knowing that.
I've been so straight not knowing.
He gets high on meth and he likes to jerk his dick off and he says that he has like the hardest cum that he's ever had in his life. Full of strokes.
Oh.
That's all it took.
Man, I've been so straight not knowing that.
I've been so straight not knowing that. Might be my favorite thing.
Yeah. And fucking, he's like,
Yes.
so I could try it out with you and Dr. Drew? Like what? Like I fucking do three-way? That's horrible. And then 4 strokes with him. So 2 apiece, or is that 4 total? Or like 4 strokes for each of us? Or do we each get 2 strokes?
And then
I love his analysis. He's
I
got
know.
quite
It
a
is.
sharp mind on
He
this.
actually, the way he breaks stuff down
Yeah.
is how a normal, logical person
Yeah,
would.
it's really
you know?
smart.
Yeah. And then the producer jumps in here.
Do you want to know what that means before you keep going on?
What does it mean?
So this guy gets high on meth and he likes to jerk his dick off and he says that he has like the hardest, thickest cum that he's ever had in his life. Full of strokes. That's all it took.
Man, I've been so straight not knowing that.
I've been so straight not knowing that. Might be my favorite thing.
That was really funny, dude.
Oh my god.
You know what's great is that a guy that looks like that is like, I don't need to know that.
Yeah, I know. Dude's got makeup on. He's like, I don't want to know that shit.
Yeah, he's like, I'm good. My
Yeah.
world is normal.
Yeah, you got to get me. I'm straight not knowing that. That's so great.
Wow.
God, that's funny.
That was
4
awesome.
strokes with him.
4 strokes with him.
I love too that the rumor is now that just Dr. Drew fucks indiscriminately.
That dude said he fucks a lot of bitches, and that dude was like, "That's right."
Yeah, totally.
Like he's out there just plowing chicks left and right.
4 strokes with my brother is my favorite. Dr. Drew is like fucks bitches like crazy.
we are ruining his life.
Oh my God, we have
Dr.
to.
Drew's life at this point.
We have to get it to a point where like that is a well-known thing. Everybody just talks about how Dr. Drew just fucks bitches.
Oh my God.
Susan will pay us a visit. Excuse me. Why everybody's saying that?
Dr. Drew is like fucks bitches like crazy.
Oh my God. Meanwhile,
Well-
he's the sweetest, most loyal husband.
Oh yeah, he is a gem. Hello and thank you for watching that highlight. If you want to see more of those,
Good morning. Good evening, Kevin. I know, I'm excited too, man. Good afternoon. We have an awesome one for you today. If you didn't hear the news, I'm exclusively a YouTube gaming streamer as of September 1st, and now this is my home. There was a ton of congratulations. There was a ton of positive feedback, and for one, I just want to say appreciate and love y'all. Thank you for all the love. But the second thing that a lot of people were talking about was, wait. Does this mean that Timmy and Dr. Disrespect can play again? And the answer is simple. Yes. What we got for you here in this video is me and someone that I know y'all love, Dr. Disrespect, finally reuniting and playing some Warzone together again. I'm so happy to be able to play with Doc again, and I know y'all are very happy about this too, and there's more of this to come for sure. And if you enjoy that, drop a like on this video, share it with a friend. If you're not subscribed over here to More Tim and Tatman as well, I would encourage you to hit the sub button and ring the bell. This is where the edited videos are going, this channel. Be the first one to like and comment, all right? Be sure to tell somebody you love them. Most important part of my intro, okay? I'll catch you in the next one.
Hey, Lupo and Timmy. Who's this guy in the Discord?
I think Doc. We did a contest.
I don't have them on. Is that
I just got fucking choppered out of midair,
wait, there's
boys.
no way.
By a professional
There's no
player.
way. Is that
Rated.
There's no way. Is that rated's
That's
not
actually rated.
What?
Yeah, I hope he comes over here. Hey, bring him over here.
Are you shitting me?
Chat, do me a favor. Tell Rated to fuck right off. We're playing with Doc for the first time in a while. Tell him to get the fuck
I'm
out.
the one that got chopped in half. Rated, you literally owe me a boat now, dude. Come on.
Tim, I got this. Rated, brother. If you come and kill us, goodbye. You're no longer on 100 feet.
I was gonna say, Jack, you're his boss, bro.
Yeah, I have that authority.
I love picking up an SMG, and it's a single shot SMG. I mean, that's exactly what I want to
right
pick
here,
up.
Doc, right in front of you. Yeah. Okay, he's chasing. I'm chasing. What the fuck?
He's
oh my
chasing
God.
you, huh?
He's the fastest kid alive.
I'm driving in. Please don't fucking chopper me again. I'd like to live.
Hey, Doc, be careful out there, bro. Someone just shot me.
You got people driving on the outside over there. Oh,
who's?
He's on top. He's on top.
He's on top. He's on top.
Okay, this is not. I don't want.
You need armor, Doc?
No, I don't.
Someone's in the building.
I can't.
I'm with Tim. Breaching clear.
Right here.
Right.
Right. Like you're gonna melee me. Uninstall the game. Get your money back, even though it's free, bitch.
This gun's really accurate. He threw it at us! You dick!
One shot. He's one shot.
Wait, that wasn't
even rated.
Wait. That means that's rated.
Is this
Guys!
rated? Yeah.
Fuck off, man!
Yeah. I got a big flash from him too. Nice concussion.
This is fucking.
Oh my God, dude.
Jesus. Doc, do you need armor? Does anyone need armor?
I don't need armor.
Why are Aiden and Rated in this fucking game?
Bro, they're farming us for YouTube videos. We have to kill them. I should not have come over here.
Safe fights and play. I'm running safe fight. Goodbye.
See ya.
Oh my God.
Oh man.
What the?
There's literally somebody in front of us.
What the fuck are you doing, bro?
There.
What's this? Please tell me you got dead silence. He does. He's got dead silence.
Oh, bro, suck
how you
me
doing,
and
bud?
just fucking rail me, dude. I'm shocked. I'm shocked.
Hey,
So it's not
we having a
buybacks.
good time?
I can't.
That's good news. No. They had buybacks only.
Oh.
Yeah.
If this is Aiden or Rated, it's literally on fucking sight. I'm not trolling. I'm not trolling. I'm fucking sight. I'm gonna spear tackle.
No, it's somebody else. Yeah, we're good.
This is the first fucking lobby. Doc, you want my comms, bro? I'm here with you.
No.
I'm pretty
Actually,
good.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Doc,
this a
here's the
single shot?
comm. He's currently middle, going right. My left.
got him,
Wait,
got him.
your left.
Yep,
Let's
easy.
go!
Great calls. I got
Flawless,
you.
baby!
I got you, Timmy.
Wow, I almost really fucked that up. Let's go.
It could have gone bad real quick.
Timmy's push to the left.
Oh my God. Got him.
Something just clicked in my head. By me being dead first, I'm basically doing a majority of what Tim does for his YouTube videos now. I'm just spectating. This is nice. Is this this one will pop off, right? Right, Tim?
That's how that works.
That is how that works. Why play when you can spectate?
I can't wait to spectate you today, Timmy.
I'm excited for that because I'm gonna actually show you how much better I am than you at this video game now.
I mean, I haven't seen you play in like a couple months with all these spectating solos. Do you even play the game?
Yeah, I play the game, Doc.
Tim's professional now,
And
so
listen,
he's going
Z,
full-time commentating,
Z
dude.
won't tell you like it is. I've known you for a very long time. I'll tell you like it is. I'm fucking better than you.
Bring all your money. Tim, Lupo, everyone get over here right now.
Jack,
I don't want to see those
I'm
arrows
broke.
go another way.
Hashtag the grind. I'm coming.
There's also a helicopter behind us.
Warzone is fun.
Oh my God.
I think it's a friendly. God bless America! Doc! You don't gotta torch the friendlies out of the sky now. You don't have a chopper to get out.
Good kill, Doc. Nice work.
Oh my!
This guy's trying to buy his friend back. Look at him.
Trash.
I guess I'm going for loading.
Tim, I'm coming.
Doc, I need the money. Doc,
Drop your money.
Yeah.
Guys, we have Royale. This is it.
I'm just excited to hold my weapons.
It's like Seer in Apex Legends. Just keep it out at all times. You're fine.
I don't know if we need the heartbeat. We could probably just hear them as they're coming on us. Hold on a minute.
Tom? Oh, hey, sorry. Tim. I don't know what used to fly on Twitch, but that's one of those where...
My bad. That's like wording, huh? Whoa. My grandma is literally watching today, bro. I'm in agony. I think he's at this tree. At this tree. Can someone come with me? C-O-M-E, come with me. I need you.
One diving down in the bottom of the ravine.
Bottom ravine's hit. Broke. Flesh. Wait, did anyone else gonna land a shot on this fucking squad?
No, this stoner is horrible.
Flash.
Oh
Found
my
him.
God, up the hill. Of course, me.
Yeah.
It's raided.
I'm pushing him. Aiden's holding this fucking ball sack from the right. Nice. Fuck off! This is a good first game together. I'm glad to be back with you, Doc.
Tim, I promise you that bush is giving you no cover.
Oh yeah.
You're kidding me, right?
He's one bullet right here. You're not chowing with me there, Jack.
You get rid of that shotgun, Timmy.
Jack, you're not chowing that? Aiden's a bullet. Are you dead ass?
Good.
I killed Aiden.
I hate you. Guys, Jack's out. Doc, get Z in here. Get Z in here. I'm off. That just pissed me off. The fact that you didn't
There's a
chow
reason
me
why
right there.
pro players carry him all the way to Predator. And
Oh, God. Jack, you okay?
Jack, you okay?
Yo, Jack sold that, right? I had Aiden dead. If he gives me a shot, I only had one plate.
Not with that shotty.
Okay.
Whatever that shotty build is, like, put it away,
It's
please.
the best shotgun in the game, Doc. I had the wrong gun out. I couldn't swap. Honestly, you fucking deserve that. I'm glad you just got C4 in your gulag.
You fucking deserve that, Tim. You're cranky. Eat your goddamn calories, you fat bitch.
Hey, Doc, real quick, though. Just scoreboard quick before we leave. You see that?
Hey, we don't have to look at that. No, move on. Everyone's moving on.
I had the most...
Yeah, we don't have to look at that.
An enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain.
Yes, I can't.
An ally has been slain. An enemy has been slain.
That's why he's like that. No, we don't need to look at that. 205 damage. Oh my god. Fucking me.
Let's see, which way? Nope, this not right. Ooh, maybe that way. You don't need medical supplies. To the dump.
ward. God. Oh my god, dude. That's my fault. I missed 2 of them. Holy fuck.
An ally has been slain.
Patients never come back. Labels say may cause torn clothes, mood swings, purpleness. Me watch for that.
An enemy has been slain. Turret plating will soon fall. An enemy has been slain.
Medical school. Yes, Mundo probably.
And
Doctor, doctor, this is how we doctor.
yes, I see you, bitch. Come up here.
Why Mundo do this? For the community.
Killing spree.
Mundo miss old office, the one with pillows on walls. Mundo always say, malpractice make malperfect. One bajillion drops of Healy Drew's stat.
Oh my god, dude. That works.
Rampage.
Yeah, his fucking call if he's fucking pushing me down.
Mundo resuscitated. Mundo not remember Mundo before Mundo was Mundo. With 27 medical diplomas, Mundo ready to cure what ails you. Take 2 of these.
Oh.
Remember oath. First to know something. You patient or donor? It not matter. Me do same thing.
Shut down.
Oh my god. I am later. Mundo.
Killing spree.
Mundo not remember Mundo before Mundo was Mundo. Dr. Mundo, you needed back at the healing place. Okay. Labels say may cause torn clothes, mood swings, purpleness. Me watch for that. Hex-rays look fine. That's what me'd say if me took Hex-rays. Electricity make the brain work good. Let's see, which way? Nope, this not right. Ooh, maybe.
Your team has destroyed a turret.
Mungo help people in Zon and Piltover. Mungo without borders. Medicine Bone's gonna have to keep up. Cleaver Bone.
Your team has destroyed a turret. Unstoppable.
Shut up, please.
Your team has destroyed a turret.
Oh my god, dude. Oh my god.
Dear Medical Journal, Mungo attempt brain transplant to Mungo today. What do you think it
Oh my god, dude. Oh my god. Beats me down more than I guess.
I had the most damage, and if Jack challenges with me, I have 6 kills.
That Janna ult.
Nurse, the anesthesia wore off. Mundo ready to cure what ails you.
No Baron. Here. When you get this, I could get a whole bunch of health and extra attack damage and beat off my health. Ain't that? Get a stare.
Mundo goes where he pleases. Doctoring hard. Everyone always screaming at you.
Woo. Dude, holy shit, she's so fed, dude. Like, I'm a tank. Like, a lot of health and armor, and she's still just like... Doesn't matter. That percentage health shit she got is... Could've got Sterex, I guess. Well, maybe I could've just like ran at her, you know? Couldn't just fight me. This I have Thornmail and shit. This should have reduced.
Sometimes me wonder, who is me to play God? Then me remember, me Mundo.
Why would you possibly?
Doctor, this is how we doctor.
Do it quick. Do it quick. Go. Yeah. Earn 10 points.
Please put that shotty away.
No, it's a good shotgun. I got caught mid-range with my cock out. I had to use it. I had no choice. It's like Aiden just literally walked in on me like taking a piss, and I was just caught off guard, bro. I had to use the shotgun. I had to. And Jack ran away from me. Jack, I'm more mad at you through this whole thing. I really am, truly.
All right, boys.
You gotta do on your cheeks
All
right
right,
now,
first
Tim.
game of
Get
the
up in
day,
there,
we
look
had
out.
Aiden and Rated, so hopefully it saw that we lost that. So like, wow, let's bump these guys down one.
Jack, you got 2 people building next to you. Look out. Tim, I'm
landing
landing
late.
Boom, see you. Nice.
I think this guy's just trying to get me fucking DMAC'd on YouTube.
Oh, Did you just abbreviate DMCA
to DMAC, which isn't even the right like order of letters.
I mean, at this point, we're talking
I'm
more like, I'm coming, Doc.
Well, I mean,
I'm here. I'm here.
We got you.
D-Mac, yeah. Definitely.